Saturday left of the year. And it was also, what was it, Labor Day weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend. And we had over 200 people show up. So if it hadn't been 100 degrees, I wouldn't have been able to accommodate them all, because everybody kind of transient in and out of the launch. I melted, my hairspray got crunchy in my hair, and and I hugged everybody sweaty and all of the things, that it was just amazing. And so what I'd love to do is share some of the marketing, because all of you are authors or aspiring authors like I was, literally a month ago. And I know marketing is something that it's a struggle for authors, because a lot of us are introverts, or at least maybe not introverts, but we like to hang out with ourselves and our cats or dogs. That's what I like to do. I like to hang out with my dogs and a cup of coffee. So, but I approach the writing from a business venture versus a creative venture. And I think that that's what the biggest difference has been in terms of kind of how I was able to move forward a little more quickly than some people are. And to be quite honest with you, I have not been aggressively marketing my first book at all, because my strategy is to start my aggressive marketing on my third book, so that all my money goes to the marketing on the third book. There's 3 books. If I can gain a reader on the third book, well, then they'll go read my second and my first book, right? So I haven't spent a dime on marketing, not one dime. The only thing I spent money on is my launch party. And so then, of course, I spent money on my bookmarks and my fans. But other than that, I really haven't spent any money on marketing. So you can imagine what it's going to be like in a few months when I go crazy and start spending money, and I'm going to actually share that with you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history of why I wrote the books, and then you'll get a little background and know kind of where I come from. So I worked for 8 years for an almond grower. He had 7 almond ranches, and he had 3 manufacturing facilities, and we did various food products, agriculture food products. And I was his VP. I ran all of his establishments and all of his ranches and all the things, and his family. And I traveled quite a bit because I had to sell almonds, or I was also selling to the military, and so I moved around a lot. And when I would say I was from the Zinfandel capital of the world, nobody knew where that was. Everybody always thought of Napa, right? Because that's what everybody thinks of with California wines. And at the time, I don't think we had 87 wineries. I think we probably had like 40, maybe 50 wineries, but still, that's significant. That's not a small appellation, but still nobody knew who we were. And so I formed the Women of Wine Country Facebook group with the idea that I would do a YouTube channel and film a cast of characters, women that lived in our area, predominant women, and at events at our wineries. And when you get a lot of women together, that kind of fell apart because so-and-so wasn't getting along with the other person, and all of the things that go along with trying to get a cast of women together. So I kind of put that to bed and didn't really do anything with it, but at the time I had grown the Facebook group to like 1,200 people. So I had this group of 1,200 people that I just kind of shared events into the group and didn't really do anything for a few years. I didn't do anything with it other than just, promote our area to the people that were already in the group. Well, so I worked for this gentleman for 8 years, and then the last, I would say 4 years, I started getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker, to the point where I stopped working with him, and the last couple of years I was very ill. I was bedridden. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I had read everything that I could ever read, and one of the things I'd always fell back on as a child was writing. So I've always written because we were military brats, so we moved around a lot. And so I would write my stories. And my stories were something that I could always take with me. And so that's kind of what I fell back to. So in the last year that I was in bed, sick, I wrote 3 books and outlined 9. And then, thanks to my husband, I was diagnosed correctly, had a little simple surgery, and bam, I was back. So it took me about a year to fully physically get back. And in the meantime, I was decided the stories I had written were not really going to ever go out. I was going to keep them to myself and just continue on with my career and my husband's construction company. But he got a hold of a couple of the chapters, and was like, you need to publish these. These are worth publishing. You can write. And so with his encouragement, I started learning as everything I could about the industry of writing. So I approached it from a business because that's my nature. I'm an entrepreneur and have run businesses. And so luckily for me, the genre that I was writing in, which was suspense, romantic suspense, was one of the larger genres in, all of readership. And so I knew that I was already in a good place. And I also knew that my demographic is one of the most underserved demographic for just about everything, right? Which is middle-aged women and older. So we're talking 40 on. We're underserved. And to the point where literary agents, when I would contact them, are actually seeking writers and stories for our demographic, because there's a lot of us, we have money to spend, and nobody's serving us, right? So at this time, I'm learning all of this. I'm learning the business and the industry of writing and producing a book, and I had named it Women of Wine Country. So at the time, I didn't even know it was going to be a series. I was writing about people that I've been writing about my whole life, starting with being in a military base, and it was my favorite guy here who said, you got Women of Wine Country. Why aren't you using that? Do Women of Wine Country. And it was like, oh my God, sometimes you're just too close to something to see, right? The perfect answer. And so, I gotta fan myself, I'm getting hot over here. Woo! Talk about my demographic. Kicking my butt here. Okay, so I'm gonna just talk as quickly as I can through this so we get to the fun part. So it was like, aha, Women of Wine Country, yes. So I had to rework some of the stories because they didn't exactly fit, because they weren't exactly written in our area. Reworked them so that they did work in our area, and started promoting, because learning the industry, I learned that you needed to build an audience. I mean, I didn't have an author page and I didn't have any of the things, but I had 3 written books. So the first thing I did was learn that I needed to have beta readers to kind of test my writing on. So I went to an author that was similar to my writing style, Kristen Ashley. If you don't know her, she's a great writer and she has a lot of books out. And I went to her fan club, which has 17,000 people in it, and asked for beta readers. I had 35 people send me their emails so that I could send them an NDA. And now, mind you, I had no author presence at all at this point. So these are just people who want to read a free story. And 35 of them sent me their emails. I sent them all NDAs, which are non-disclosure agreements, because you don't ever give your work to anybody unless they've signed that. And I had 17 send them back. And then from those 17, I sent the first 3 chapters with a questionnaire that I wanted the questions from, and they don't get the Rex chapters until they send me back the questionnaire. And from those 17, I had 5 send me back. So those 5. So by the time I got down to it, I ended up with 3 amazing beta readers that followed me all the way through the book, who are now friends of mine on Facebook and want everything that I'm doing, because they're my hardcore readers now. One of them is in Spain, and she is super excited. She's planning a trip here. She wants to see the wine country and all of the things. And she actually ended up a beta reader on the second book, which is not something that I recommend doing. And I'll tell you why if you want to know later. So I ended up with these amazing beta readers. They went all the way through the process with me, and it ended up working out really well. And I'm stumbling through at this point. I don't know really what I'm doing. So when I got through with that, then the next step was getting an editor. My first editor didn't really work out, so that was kind of like, oh no. So at the last minute, I got another English teacher to do editing for the second book, or for the first book, which is the second editor. And then I had to figure out formatting. So if you guys remember when Cindy was here with the Dying For series, like Dying for a Date, Dying for Dead, I had asked her about her formatting because I was at the point where I needed to have a formatter. Well, I reached out to 7 formatters and none of them ever got back to me. So I couldn't pay somebody to format my book. And I'm not exactly sure if that's normal or if it's just because I was an unheard of author, right? And so I ended up formatting it myself. And I learned a lot. I had to re-upload the book probably 17,000 times. And I had to redo the cover about 700 times, but now I know. I didn't know what I didn't know, but now I know. So even in the future, if I end up hiring somebody to do the formatting for me, I know how to do all of it. I know how to format for ebook, I know how to format for print, I know how to format for Amazon, and they're all different. And all the platforms want something different. So we get to the point where the next thing I did was so the whole time I'm marketing. I start my author page. I start, teasing everybody with the book covers. I start talking about the, I'll say little blurbs and get people on board. And then I start networking with other people to build my audience, which is very difficult if you don't have any workout. It's hard to build an audience. And if you're not like a really good writer. I mean, this is my very first book where you can just type something up real quick as a teaser to send out. So I didn't have any of those skills yet. I developed them, but I didn't have them then. So, so we get the book uploaded. I set it for my birthday, which is August 13th, because I thought, what a better birthday present to myself than to have my book published then. What I didn't know is for Amazon, you can set an ebook for pre-order, right? But as soon as you upload that paperback, or at least with my limited knowledge, it goes live, like right away. So all of the audience that I had been teasing with my books, when I uploaded the pre-order and then uploaded the paperback, they went to go pre-order and saw they could get the paperback. They started ordering the books. So I had like literally 20 women who went and purchased this book and got their book before my author copies came. So I had planned on getting my author copy. I'd already ordered it, thinking I'll get it, I'll be able to check it out, make sure it looks good. They had already ordered them. But that actually really worked for me because I kind of played on that, made a big deal out of it. And then I was getting pictures from everywhere. I was with a glass of wine on a beach, a gal in Colorado with her cows in the background, I mean, just all these pictures started showing up on Instagram and on Facebook for this picture or this book that the author still had never gotten her hands on the copy. So that was kind of fun, and it really worked for me because then everybody else was super excited. And I noticed that after the first 3 or 4 pictures, my book orders spiked. And so that's something that I probably won't do again, but it was kind of a nice little surprise for me. So the first book comes, and then the ebook comes out and it launches, and all of that's great and wonderful. And I've had to go back and re-upload the book several times because everybody finds something and you got to fix it and re-upload it. And so then it went live the July 27th. The ebook released the 13th. My launch party was the 31st. Now, luckily for me, I had this group of women. So now the Women of Wine Country group has grown to about 1,700 of us. And I had this group of women who were just like, they were basically promoting me. I didn't have to do anything. When I got on Good Day Sacramento, all I did was email them. I just emailed them and said, hey, this is my book, can I come on? And they immediately got me on. Same with the Lodi News Sentinel. When I got the big write-up on the Lodi News Sentinel, I just emailed them and said, this is what I'm doing. Would you like to feature me? And they did this big write-up on just a telephone call. So that was kind of cool, and I didn't really have to do much for that. And no money at all went towards marketing. Haven't bought any ads, and I haven't taken out any ads on Facebook or on Amazon. But I did promote the launch party pretty heavily. And a couple of the things that I did that I think is really important, and I think it's a different way of marketing a book, is I connected with other businesses. So I'd like to introduce Sherry Cicchini here. She owns Trail Beads Charms, and one of the aspects that my book has is a charm bracelet that the women share. I wrote that into the book like a long time ago. That's a story that I've actually written about this charm bracelet, kind of like the traveling pants, the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. But my thing, starting when I was 7, was a charm bracelet. And so when I actually was Googling charms and wine charms and all these things, she popped up. So I immediately tapped into her and said, hey, this is who I am. Would you be interested in doing a Women of Wine Country charm? Which, of course, we connected very nicely and it worked out quite well. But it also gave me something to market my book that I didn't have. So now I had something to market. I had a teaser, the red shoe, it went really well, the women got excited, it helped me grow the group a little bit more. So that was another aspect of me offering a little something and getting everybody kind of excited, and they purchased the charm before the book ever even came out. I mean, we started that charm like how many months before the book came out?
Oh, quite a few.
Like it was before Christmas, wasn't it?
No,
Or was it after Christmas?
No, it was after Christmas. but
Like February?
It was probably like April.
Because it was still rainy and cold out.
Hmm.
Because remember?
I don't
Yeah, we had a
remember.
long rainy
A lot of
season.
rain this year.
Yeah.
So I networked with her that way, and then I also found a couple of artists. You know, wine communities usually have a lot of art people. We had a couple of artists that I allowed them to take the logo and the red shoe, which I trademarked, and I should talk about that, and had them do artwork that they could only use on certain times. That also gave me a way to promote the book without actually having anything. You know, it still didn't have a book, but this is pre-book launch. But it gave me a way to promote the Women of Wine Country, the series that's coming up, and all of the things. And so by the time the launch party came, we had, this is one of the examples, Jumping Jezebels. So we have one of our authors, or one of our artists, who got an advanced copy, and she started making tumblers and all kinds of things that says Jumping Jezebels, because that was the slang that my Isabella in the story, she says Jumping Jezebels all the time. So that's something that they started using as marketing, and I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So I started sharing it everywhere, and again, I'm getting marketing on, you know, I'm doing a dual service. I'm marketing her and she's marketing me. So that was something that was really, really cool. And I did that kind of all along the way. So as soon as I met Sherry, it was like, oh, this is a good way to market the book and also include other women. So like June had said, the Women of Wine Country Tribe is more than just a series of books. This series of books, or the idea behind it, has really brought our community together. It has brought a bunch of women, like literally 1,700 women, who we're doing charities now. We've done raffles and raised money for rescue no-kill shelters. We had fire victims that we raised money and did drives for. We've got a lot of things in the works. We've got now a Women of Wine tasting, where a group of us get together at certain wineries to promote the wineries, and then also just to get together and talk about our husbands and our kids, and you know, just have some sisterhood. And so it's really expanded. But I think that can be done with all kinds of books. So like, let's say Harlan, he does history. I mean, he could do that with history. He could get with a train organization who does old trains, or Yosemite, or whatever his books have that's talking about the history. There's all kinds of ways to market that book without staying just in the book, and that expands your readership. And I have a lot of people, women, who have said that they've not read a book in years, that are picking up my books and reading them because I've cross-marketed, and that's huge to me. That's like bigger than anything, that people are reading. So with the launch party, what I did was, of course, I was gonna be there. My idea was I would sign books for an hour, from 3 to 4. The launch party was from 2 to 5. It was 100 degrees out, it was outside. So what we did is we had wine slushies and we had shaved ice there, right? Wine slushies were a huge hit. They kept running out because they were delicious. Well, in 100-degree weather, wine slushies are just delicious. But, and then I also made these fans, right? So all of the women, I made these fans because I need a fan all the time, but luckily it also played off in the 100-degree weather, right? So, and this is perfect. So know your reader. That's kind of what I'm saying here, right? Because all of the women in my age are needing fans. And so that's what I used as a giveaway. It's true. So, yeah, Harlan's not gonna need a fan, but, you know, that's okay. His wife might.
I've never seen the fan before as a promotional device, and I'm gonna do it.
Well, and I actually made this, and I'll tell you, I'm a cheapskate at heart, and right now, anything that I spend money on, I think, how many books could I have printed? Like, I took my granddaughters out to dinner last night, and I was like, I could have printed 40 books. You know, I mean, seriously, that's where my mind is at, right? And so I looked these up online as promotional because I knew, you know, women my demographic are gonna want fans because we need them all the time. Even if it's like, you know, 20 degrees out, we still need our fans. So I looked these up, and it was gonna be like $300 for me to order 200 fans. So what I did was I just had this printed out, and then I ordered these off Amazon. I spent like 80 bucks on all of it, and then I just sat in front of the TV and glued them all on. My husband thought I was crazy, because he's like, you don't have time to do that.
True.
And I'm
Thought
like,
he
no, you
was.
don't understand. I have to
brilliant.
have something mindless to do. So there are little tricks like that you can do. I mean, that may not be something any of you might want to do, but it's things like this that help you with your promoting your book. And I feel like it's kind of a crowded space with all of the you know, with indie authors, it's a crowded space, that if you can think outside of what we are traditionally doing to market our books, like all of the things that I've been doing, it helps you get different readerships and you can at least gain the attention. So when I threw my launch party, I did something that a lot of people actually advised me not to do. And I had vendors there. I had all women vendors. So I had Lead Hership, which is a nonprofit that teaches women in leadership roles, you know, how to be good leaders. I had a woman photographer that had asked me to participate in a Women in Wine photo exhibit, which was very successful. We had Mary Kay there, we had Trail Beads there, we had a local female-owned boutique there, we had a little 16-year-old designer who had her own clothes there, we had our artist there who took up lots of space. And then we had a little band there that was female. It was a duet, but it was the female was the main contact. So I promoted other women-owned businesses at my launch party, which also brought people that wouldn't normally know me, and it also elevated them. So my idea is that I would start signing from 3 to 4, and I would visit with everybody and dance and drink wine slushies and all of the things. But what happened was when I came out, because I had a private luncheon ahead of time for my editors and the people that helped me with the book, when I came out into the patio area, it was 1:35, and there was already a line of people. This is the guy, my son Brandon, who sold my books for me, and he never got up to use the bathroom. He never got a drink. He worked the entire time.
What a good son.
He is a good son, yeah. So everybody needs to get a Brandon, but you can't have him. So yeah, I came out.
Where was the launch party held?
So the launch party was held at Woodbridge Crossing. So I live in Woodbridge, which is in the middle of the wine appellation that I'm talking about. And I have developed a really good relationship with my community. I sit on the Municipal Advisory Council, which is our unincorporated version of City Council. And so I have a lot of connections that I've made over the years because I've lived there for 30 years. So I had it at the Woodbridge Crossing.
Thank you.
Now, he did not charge me anything to have it there because he knew the women that were coming. He had more faith than I had. I woke up that morning sure that I wasn't even gonna have 5 people show up. Like, I just knew we were just gonna be drinking wine slushies all day, and then I was gonna owe the guy, because the owner, not only did he give me his patio for free, but he purchased a wine slushie machine just for our event. Now that turned out to be a very brilliant move on his part. He believed in the group that we were gonna have.
The slushies were really, really good.
They were.
They were very good.
Brandon saying that he told Brandon it was the best Labor Day weekend he's ever had. So he was literally busy because everybody stayed and they had dinner and everything. So when I came out 1:35 and saw that he had a line of people, I thought, oh shoot, I better sit down and see if anybody wants to sign. I did not get up from that table. I signed the entire time until I decided I gotta get up and move my body. I grabbed my little granddaughters, which I call them my little divas, and we went and danced one little dance, and then we came back and I signed. I signed the entire time and took pictures. So I had a step and repeat there with my logo, which is Women of Wine Country. It's not big enough for me to show it to you on there. And a little red carpet that I took pictures with, which was a big deal. But another thing I did, because the books have the red shoe, I did what's called a red shoe raffle. So The vendors, the only charge I had for my vendors was they had to have a raffle prize at each of their stations. And the only way to get a ticket was when you came in, you gave me your email address so that I could expand my email base, you would get a ticket. If you bought a drink from the bar, you would get a ticket. If you purchased a charm from Sherry, you got a ticket. If you purchased something, if you spent your money, you could get a ticket. And these raffle prizes were amazing. Like the ladies went really out and they had amazing raffle prizes. So it became a thing where it was like, the women were telling their husbands, go buy this, go buy a drink and give me your raffle prize. So it became like this fun little thing. My raffle prize was the red shoe raffle, and I did a couple of bottles of wine and a big red shoe and some books and all kinds of fun things. And the only way to get into my raffle was to wear a pair of red shoes. Now it was 100 degrees, so you could wear red flip-flops, you could wear red high heels, you could wear red whatever. And it was very successful. We had 35 women show up with the red shoes, not including the vendors. And it was just a really big deal. It was a great marketing tool, and I'll do it again and again and again. The red shoe raffle was a big deal. So those are all of the things that I did for the marketing for the launch party.
Having participated in these kinds of events
Uh-huh.
with multiple organizations, how long did it take you from the time you sat down and said, I'm gonna hold a launch this date? When did the planning and coordination and communication and follow-up and the meetings and the phone call?
That's a great
How long did
question.
that take?
I want to say, 5 months maybe. But something you need to know is that I throw a lot of events, a lot of large-scale events. So like Woodbridge is our little town, and I throw the Christmas festival there, and the whole town comes out. I do Halloween festivals. Well, I've handed it off this year, but in the past, I've done the Halloween festival, and the whole town comes out. I do Easter egg hunt, the whole town comes out. So
So you've leveraged
I leverage that.
the power of the symbiotic relationships
Yes.
you've already had in the community.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And that's great. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that I want to talk about. I think that, especially for us indie authors, building your community, not just building your audience, but building a community of like-minded people. So it's easy for me, well, it wasn't easy for me. So when I first started this, I did not know how I was gonna market it. But I did have enough foresight to hire marketing coaches and writing coaches. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to market this. How can I possibly market these books? And my writing coach is like, what are you talking about? How many people drink wine? Everybody likes wine. You're not gonna have any issue marketing these books. You just tap into the wine regions. Every single country in this planet has a wine region, some kind of wine region. And if they don't have a wine region, they at least like to drink wine. So once I wrapped my head around that, it was easy to kind of move forward with that. So I think building a community, whether it's history or it's fantasy or sci-fi, there is a way to build a community. And I think that your audience, to say you have to build your reader audience is too simplistic. You've got to go bigger than that. You have to build a reader community to where they all feel involved. These book covers, I had several book covers. Now I would decide, okay, I knew I was doing this red shoe, so I didn't put that up for debate. The font on here though, I did 3 or 4 different book cover fonts, and I let the women decide. I put it up and I let them decide. Now, all of the covers that I put up were covers that I would be okay with, right? But I actually put a poll up and I let them vote. The red shoe that we used for the Women of Wine Country, one of the things that I did with the red shoe, I had her give me 3 red shoes, we put them up, and I let the women decide. The women got to vote. So they're all invested. Every single one of them are invested before the book's ever even launched. I think there were other things that I did stuff, huh?
Logo.
My logo, okay, that's good. You can't really see it, but I have a Women of Wine Country logo. It's really small right here. And I did have that trademark, and I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. I knew what I wanted it to look like, but there was a couple of different versions. I did one version and he did another version. And I let the women decide. I let my people that were gonna be my community, my readers, decide what that logo was gonna be. I was fine with either one of them, I liked both of them. So I let them decide, they chose mine, not his. But it was engagement like that, and that was all before the book was ever out. So by the time the book came out, and I did pre-order, and then they went on and found out it was live, I had sales before I ever even, my writing coaches said, you won't sell 50 books. You won't sell 50 of them on your first book. It's not until you're in your second book will help your first book, and then your third book is when you're gonna do, you know, you're gonna hire a publicist, you're gonna pay for press and all of these things to, you know, to moving forward. And so the fact that I've sold so many books now, and that I had so many people show up for my launch party, which by the way, my writing coaches told me not to have my launch party, but I'm a big, like, I love to party, so I did it anyway. This is just like weird. It's like totally weird, and I'm just like praying to the book gods that it's not a one-off, and then now my books are gonna, you know, which I have that imposter syndrome where I worry about that stuff, you know, just like everybody. So, are there any questions?
We're gonna talk about the trademark.
Trademark. So, because I approached this from a business aspect, and before I met Sherry, I had thought that with my charms, because they're sterling silver charms they're traditional charms in the book, eventually I would have a charm bracelet that I would do something fun with the readers, that they would purchase the charms and we would build it together. I then ran into Sherry, and this is the charm bracelet that Sherry has, and because I love working with other women, decided that I would just let her handle that part of it, because, you know, it's always good to let the professionals do their thing. But I knew that I would always have merchandise, that I was not gonna approach this from we'll just see how it goes and maybe they won't sell point of view. I knew that I was going to go all out, and if I was gonna approach this from a business perspective, I was gonna approach it as if it was going to be successful. So I immediately trademarked the phrase. The first thing I did was trademark the phrase Women of Wine Country in a merchandising capacity. And I got it, and that was kind of amazing. I didn't think I was gonna get it. And now I have the actual trademark it's being, you know, processing for trademark as well. And the reason that I did that was for merchandising. I wanted to make sure that if I did the Women of Wine Country books and it worked out, that somebody else didn't come and trademark my name and then make money on this name that I had worked so hard to keep and to promote.
Want a TV show? She owns the name.
Right, exactly. And then also there were all kinds of, you know, there's always people who sit and watch things and watch for, and this is something that I know to be true because I was a VP for somebody who did a lot of things and was a pioneer in a lot of areas, and then he would always have those people that would come in and make money on something that he had done. So I wanted to make sure that I had covered at least what I was going to be doing in terms of merchandising. So now I've got t-shirts, I have a line of lip liners that are coming out, Women of Wine Country lip liners. I have a line of sunglasses that are coming out, Women of Wine Country sunglasses. And I have a wine tasting apparel line that is coming out that I am in the process of also trademarking that phrase, wine tasting apparel. My next launch in the spring, so for my next book, let me show you. Can you grab my sunglasses out of here? So I had sunglasses, only my samples that had come in from China. And of course, everything about me is blingy, just so you know. So these are the sunglasses. They're super cute, but they're super blingy. And I didn't even think anybody else would, you know, I wasn't sure if anybody else would want them. Every single one of these sunglasses got sold first. I think they bought these before they bought the books.
All the different colors too.
Yeah, and not only, and you got yours. See, so like you can see it. Right?
Fabulous.
This is the tribe, right? We've formed a community now.
Yeah. Well,
And so my little divas stole these things from me every time they see me. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, you saw pictures last night. I took them to dinner and they had these on. Because what they do is, the first thing they do is they steal all my jewelry. They take all the sparklies off of me. And I didn't have any jewelry on, so they took my sunglasses. So I was like, okay. So anyway, but we've created a community now, and we can identify with each other. So we see another gal walking down the street, and she's got those glasses, and we're like, sister! And that's how we operate. And that can be done down the way. It can be done with every genre. It's not just specific to this, it's just that, you know, this is what, you know, I'm doing it with. So, my next launch, for my second book that's gonna be out in Halloween, it launches on Halloween, and this is the first time I've said it out loud, well, I think I said it in a podcast, but, I'm not gonna do anything big. We're gonna have a little Halloween party down at the Woodbridge Crossing, and I'm not gonna do any big thing for it, because the third book that comes out on December 31st is Beauty and Betrayal, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do a big fashion show in the spring. And I've already started talking to the local women-owned boutiques and the other vendors, and we're gonna do something similar but on a larger scale, and we'll do it at a winery. So by including all of these other vendors and promoting other women, it's helped me grow without spending a dime on publicity. And so, I mean, you know, free publicity, like, you gotta do that, right? I mean, that's gotta be the thing. But I'm not just solely relying on my books to make me money. I'm relying on all the merchandising that can go along with my books to make me money. And I think that is the thing. I'm not waiting for it to become a Harry Potter. I'm just gonna act like it's already a Harry Potter, right? Because that's how you need to approach it. If you wanna be successful, you have to act like you're successful, right? So, yes,
So,
my favorite student.
do you have this idea in the back of your head where you know where the Appalachians are? You know who the women vintners are, so that you could have a speaking tour with the traveling road show with this link?
That is a great question, because that is exactly the first thing I said, was I will not be doing book signings when I do my book tour after the third book and after my fashion show. I will be doing all my book signings across the country at wineries. That's where I'll be doing my book signing. That's where my people are.
Good one.
That's where my people are. Now, that doesn't mean I won't go to a bookstore, because I love bookstores. I could spend days in bookstores and think only an hour went by. But my people, my demographic, are gonna be at that wine tasting event. And I would encourage you, because one of the things that people pushed back on me about was having other vendors at my launch party. And they said this book should be, the party should be about you, it should be about the book and all the things. But I disagree with that.
Well, it takes the village and there's strength in numbers.
Tim,
So it
There
sure,
it
it
is.
sure
Exactly.
seems to me that
There it is.
you've carved out your niche and you own it.
yeah, exactly. And that was kind of what, and it wasn't even just me, but it's all of us.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm bringing the ladies with me, and it's all of us. And we're not just a tribe anymore, we're an army. And so, and it's great. It's been great. It's been fun too. Like, I could totally do this until I was 97 years old and just kind of barely get up, and I'd still probably be doing it. Plus I like to write, so that's fun, you know. So all of the things are fun, and I'm doing things that I like. So I love my glasses, and I love my lipstick, and I love my clothes. So those are the things that I'm going into.
The reason I find your friendship and your presentation so compelling is that I've always hated marketing with a passion. And that's the reason I learned a lot from you. And I have a question. I had a book came out last fall, set in California, mostly in Yosemite. I didn't go launch party. I've done virtually zero promotion except for posting occasionally on social media. And I'm wondering, is it too late to do a launch party?
No. And I looked at your books, and I wanted to have sit down and let's have a long talk, because you are like an untapped gold mine. Seriously, you align yourself with the right marketing person, and you're gonna just, me. Yeah. So that's the next thing I want to move into. So when I was doing all of this, and because I did approach it from a business standpoint, because that's my background is business, I realized that there are and one of the reasons I know this to be true, and I'm going to tell you a personal reason I know it, is because my aunt is an English professor, and she has been writing her whole life. And she has written several books. She's a science fiction writer, And she's written several books that she would send out to traditional publicists, and she would always get the rejection letter. Or she says, which the way she says it is, she was thrilled to get back the rejection letters because some of them never even wrote her back, right? And she never considered even doing it in indie publishing. Well, she doesn't have like the same kind of like just, I don't even know what to say, what to call it, like, get out there and just like, oh, this is who I am, this is what I do, buy my book or join my tribe, or she's kind of a little bit more introverted and and I'm finding a lot of writers are. And once I published, I realized that she's got these books that she's would never even see the light of day because traditional publishing said no, and the vanity presses are so expensive, and I've got another story about that. And so I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking that this is ridiculous, that this is a whole industry, that like I can build my business, and I did form Women of Wine Country Press. It is a corporation, and it is to help other indie authors publish and market their books without taking their rights. Because what happened was, at my launch party, and I'm jumping around a little bit so you guys can pull me back when you want to. At my launch party, we had a gentleman show up who was 94 years old.
Yep.
And he just wrote a book about World War II. He's got a lot of books in him, but he wanted
His personal experiences.
Yes, he
at World War
wants
II.
to get his memories out before he's gone. And he wrote this book, but he went through a vanity press. And he came to see me at the launch party, which I couldn't spend any time with him, but he was wearing a cap with a Purple Heart. And it was too hot, and that's why I noticed him. It was too hot for him to be out there, and I thought, oh my gosh. And so Dawn went and got him and talked to him and got his information, and we got him out of the heat. And then we met with him the next week, so I went and made time to meet with him. He had gone through a vanity press. He paid $5,000. He brought me his book. I looked at it. They have all the they have taken all of his rights. Nobody else can publish it. He got 25 books, and when I looked it up on Amazon, they don't even have it available in paperback. It's only an ebook. Now, I didn't tell him all that. I quietly looked it over and asked him pointed questions so I could get the answers I needed from him, and then said, this is amazing, you're amazing. He's got the VFW behind him, he's got the Foreign Legion behind him, he's got all of these groups behind him that would like to see him move forward. But he can't even get paperbacks ordered. So, and those guys they're not reading ebooks. Those guys want to hold their books. So I told him, I want you to go home and write. All I want you to do is finish writing. You keep writing, but do not go back to this publishing company. Talk to me before you go back to this publishing company. And I gotta tell you, I'm furious about it. I'm furious. For $5,000, he should have had 500 books, all, amazing more. He could have paid for so much stuff, right? And so with that in mind, I will help anybody who wants to be an indie author and get their work out there. And they can either help them with formatting, or I can help them with marketing, or I can just counsel them and say, this is what I did, this is what you need to do, here's your checklist. And then they can go off and do it. So whatever level somebody needs, but it's not okay to take advantage of people that way. That's not okay. Mama Bear comes out. So that is why.
No, good for you. Quick question though. What's the name of this vanity press?
I wrote it down. It starts with a D. It's like,
I know some of those, but I don't remember.
you know what? I wrote it down.
It'd be good
It's
to
in my
warn
notes.
people about that.
Yes.
And June Fern's book, Chimpy, is about to be available, and so you guys need to hook up and do some work together.
Absolutely. I'm willing to help.
It's
Now,
a really good book.
this is my first book out, and I've learned a lot. I still got a lot to learn. But as I learn, my whole goal is to bring people with me. That's always been my thing. I'm not a solo. I'm not an isolationist. I'm not an introvert. And so I'm a kind of a weird writer, right? I'm just a storyteller. I just like to talk. And when people got tired of hearing me, I just started typing, right? That's it, right? So I need a team of people to help me, and I want to be somebody who helps as well. right? Because it's never wrong to be kind. Yeah.
Amen.
I'm gonna offer something,
Yes.
just for everybody, but for you in particular, because you're launched, you're out there. Years ago, Johnny Mathis used to go on tour. Like, you're gonna go on tour to all these wineries. But here's what Johnny Mathis did. He picked the best golf courses with the best weather to play those golf courses, and had his touring agents make the dates so that when he wasn't performing, he could play golf with the best golf courses and the best weather. So that's how he made his tour plans. So going forward, you might want to just tuck that away in the back.
So like make sure there's like an art event or a wine tasting event.
Sure, sure.
And so that's actually great, and that's something else I want to talk about. When I do after the third book's launched, and I'm working on the fourth and fifth book, when I do decide to make my book tour, it will always be in conjunction with something else going on. Because then I draw in a readership, a group of people that I wouldn't normally see. So this whole idea, and a lot of people argued with me about it, the whole idea that the launch party should just be about the book, that's great. You can do book signings that are just about the book. I have a whole bunch of places that I'm gonna be doing book signings at, that I'm not even talking about yet. I just booked one yesterday. Then that'll be just about the book. But when you do something big and you're gonna go on a book tour, incorporate it with something else so you get people that aren't necessarily people that know about you. That's the whole idea. You don't want to market to your people who already know you. You want to market to people who don't know you, right? And so that's my take on it. I think I've pretty much talked about everything. Yes, ma'am.
I know this is kind of going back to somewhat of the beginning, and I just love all this marketing and everything. It's so exciting. But your cover is so stunning, and so I've worked a lot with covers in various ways, and so I wondered if you could tell us, because you said that you did the cover.
Yeah,
And so I'd like to hear more details about that.
So just to be fair, I have a little 2-year degree in graphic arts.
Oh,
So I'm not like, yeah, so,
Yeah.
but, and I was a photographer the first
There we go.
part of my life.
There we go.
So, and right before they went digital. So I'm an old school photographer that used to use film and go into the chemicals and the darkroom and all the things. When it went digital, I got out of it and I had little kids by then and everything. So, I already kind of have like an eye, and I already kind of have, and then you just look. And here's something else. You guys probably already know, but I'm new. I'm probably the newest author here. And so sometimes you get little nuggets from people who are just learning, right? The 20 Books to 50K group on Facebook, if you guys don't know about them, they are invaluable. You should absolutely be part of that group.
Say that again?
Tell us again.
20 Books to 50K.
20 books to 50K?
20 Books to 50K is the name of the group. There's over 30,000 people in there from all over the world. They have a conference in Las Vegas every year, November. I can't make this November because it's already sold out, but I'm going next November. There's 2 men that run it. It's Michael Andelon and Craig Martell. But it is like, there isn't anything that you can go in there and ask that you won't get an answer to. Like, if you have a question, if they don't know, they'll say like, go check this out, or go look at here, or here's the link to your answer. It's invaluable. I belong to a lot of writing groups. You're in that group, aren't you?
No,
Oh, you're not.
no, is it just all for indie?
No, they have traditional club too.
Okay.
In fact,
Talk about
at their 20 Books to 50K Vegas book show or writing conference is the biggest writing conference in the world. It has become the biggest writing conference in the world. They are traditional and indie published. The 2 men who run it are traditional or indie published guys. And one of them has done exactly what I'm kind of doing, and because he saw so many people getting taken advantage of, and all of the people not getting their books published with the traditional publishers, I've kind of done what he did. He started helping other writers And he actually formed a publishing company that helps other writers not lose their rights to their books. Because that's the big deal. When I saw that guy, this 94-year-old man, now doesn't even own his book and has no clue he doesn't own his book, that's not okay. And so the 20 books to 50K, I mean, yes, sweetie.
Oh, I just wanted to touch back on the launch party.
Mhm.
I was wondering where you advertise other than social media to get a larger audience that doesn't necessarily know who you are.
So I only advertised on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and then I did go on Good Day Sacramento. I emailed them and they had me on, and then I did have a local Lodi newspaper do a write-up about me. And that's it, that's all I did. Now I emailed everybody, I emailed all the stations, I emailed all the newspapers, the exact same email, but those are the two that picked me up.
But I suspect each of your vendors also
Correct.
were communicating.
Yes. And you gotta remember that I've been working this for, a year. I've been working on this a year, so the excitement in our area.
Woodbridge Crossing also notified, so I mean, it's that synergism again.
Yes.
You know,
That's
that
right.
you tell one, they tell two, they
Yes.
tell four.
Yes, well, like our band, the band that I hired to be there, they took out an event and all of their people got to see it. And, the Woodbridge Crossing getting the slushies, when he said he was gonna have a wine slushie machine, oh, I started marketing that like crazy, are you kidding me? That was like the whole, all caps, wine slushies, exclamation, exclamation, you know, I mean, it's like, come for the wine slushies if nothing else, right? So then we also have our website, the womenofwinecountry.com website, and this is my tech guy. So Anthony, here's the guy that I was having a hard time. Anthony's the one I tried to slip in to replace you, but he was too busy for me too. So tech stuff is kind of tough for me. I feel like there's more stuff. Oh, then the next thing I did was my marketing coaches talk about all the platforms. So YouTube, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, and then we had the podcast. And so I did a lot of studying on each platform and which demographics are in most platforms, or which platforms, and come to find out, podcast listeners tend to be higher educated and higher earners than the other platforms. And so I thought, okay, well, now I need to have a podcast. At the time, I didn't know anything about podcasts, and I only listened to my writing coaches and marketing coaches podcasts and podcasts on that stuff. And so I thought, well, what the heck? I started a Women of Wine Country podcast. You can go on Anchor. It is for free. And if you can monetize it if you want to, and they will put it out to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast. I think I'm on 9 platforms. They take care of it. All I do, I recorded an intro with music. I recorded an finish with an end with music. I record every Saturday morning usually, but not this Saturday morning. The body of it, whatever I'm gonna say, I just record it on here. I put it in, I hit publish, and Anchor takes care of all of it, doesn't cost me a dime. All I have to do is promote it. That's it.
Anchor, so Anchor's the name of the.
Anchor is the name
What would you
of
call
the-
that thing? Podcast?
It's a podcast generator.
Podcast generator.
Yeah, and it's free. The only thing I can say about podcasting is be consistent. So, so the podcast, we have the website, the email with the red shoe raffle, that worked out really good. My email list quadrupled, so that was amazing. Pay attention to your emails when you get your email list. Pay attention to how many drop off. Pay attention to your better performing emails. What people prefer to hear about events. Do people prefer to hear about what's going on? Pay attention to what your audience likes to hear about, and you can see all the data if you're like with MailChimp or something like that. They'll show you a data, your open rate and all of that. Let's see what else. The next thing I did, I got a hold of an up and coming photographer. So this book I wrote about, I'm a rescuer. So this book has 2 dogs in it, my 2 whites. I have 4 dogs with my 2 whites. I wrote them into the book. so that I could use them to promote. I literally wrote them in the book knowing that I would use them to promote the book. But it also ended up fun because everybody's like, oh my gosh, that is totally you. So what I did was I got a hold of a up-and-coming photographer who was the bartender at Woodbridge Crossing and asked him if he would take my author picture. He did it for free. And so I went out and we did it in a vineyard, which ended up being like 106 degrees. I don't know what it is with being heat and the hot flashing and all the things, but it's like a common theme.
Yep.
I mean, saying it's hot as Hades is not putting it mildly, okay? So we did that, and then I promoted him. He gave me the pictures for free, and he committed to doing all of my pictures at my launch party for free. So he did several pictures for me, and I promoted them, and I promoted Casey Evans Photography with it as well. So now he also did my launch party, and I'm waiting to get some of the pictures. I've been teasing on social media with some of the pictures, but I've got over 300 pictures that I'll be getting this weekend for free that I can use for marketing for all of my next books coming up. And also, it helped him because now he's booked. So he has been booked now out for a year because of the work that he did. So it worked for him.
He had no
it worked
work
for me.
previously.
Also, oh, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was just, wanting to kind of refresh our memory, our community memory here. Weren't we going to have a booth at one of your events? Was that gonna be October 12th?
That is, no, October 12th is when we're all over in Manteca.
Right.
December 14th is the Woodbridge
Oh,
Festival.
December 14th,
Yeah.
okay, so
And
we
I've
have
already
time
talked
to
to
work
Pam.
on that.
I've already talked to
Okay.
Pam about that, we'll talk about that when we get
Okay,
to
great.
this.
And email me any and all information for any event as early as you want to, and I can always just add it in later.
Perfect.
Okay.
Are you on Facebook at all?
I don't like to be.
Because I do all my events. So,
Yeah,
so
no,
let
I
me,
can look
let
at your
me,
stuff, but I just mean for like when we have things on the calendar, if we have partial information, it's fine. You can always just send
okay,
me
don't wait until I have it,
what we
I'll
have,
get it
I'll
over to
post
you.
it and I'll add in more information. And then I send everybody the reminder, like, I send it like, a couple days before the meeting,
Okay,
generally. But,
Yeah.
yeah, if you have partial information on anything, just send it and I'll make it make sense.
perfect.
Time for one more
I
question.
want to say one more thing and then I'll take your question. There was another thing that I did besides just a photographer. There was a videographer who'd been doing a lot of things in Lodi. I got a hold of him and said, hey, I'm having this launch party. I've got no money to spend, but I will promote you if you come and video my launch party, which he did. He met me the day before. We did a voiceover where if anybody wants to, you can go on and find any of this stuff on Facebook. It's a video, it's only about 7 minutes long, and it's voiceover with me, but it is highlights of the party. He put it all together, and he gave it to me for free. Then, he did a second video on the Women of Wine Country, where he talked to all of my vendors, and he put that out for free as well.
Who did that?
The event,
The photographer?
the videographer. So now I had a photographer and a videographer there.
Where can you see
On Facebook, you can see all of it, and I'm happy to give you all of the links. So if you go to either the T. Wells Brown, if you go to T. Wells Brown Facebook page and like me there, you can see everything, or if you want to join the Women of Wine Country, all of it's in there as well on Facebook. Facebook is my main playground. That's where my demographic hangs out. So, and then you had one question.
I just wanted to remind people, if you look at the schedule of upcoming events, December 14th is no session planned. And so I think the idea was probably half of us are planning on coming to your event.
Yeah, that's why I need the information.
Yeah.
And I want to promote the fact that we're going to have a lot of books there so people know to come, and it's really cool when you see authors that
Yeah,
are
let's
there.
have that
Bring-
on our, agenda then.
Either bring tables or let us know if you need us to provide tables for you. We really want to encourage everybody here that has books already published to bring them and make them, for sale, available to the public. The Woodbridge Christmas Festival, it really is a community thing, but it's also an opportunity for all you to partake in and profit from. So, it really is a great event.
Children's book, anybody has children's books.
Yeah, oh, most definitely, you want to bring them.
Yeah, because free pictures with Santa will set
Yep,
you up in Santa's
yep.
workshop.
Do you have that already listed on your Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, cause I can just start with just the date and the location and then we can fill in more details.
I'll add you to, so here's the thing too. I have a Woodbridge, a Campo community group that all of this stuff goes on in, and then I have the Women of Wine Country group, and they're like kind of separated. So, I'll get you, we'll talk, and we'll
Yeah,
get you,
just
we'll
send me
get
an
you
email.
that.
I mean, mostly on our website, I'll just be updating monthly
Yeah.
meeting kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but if there's other small events and it's not like every other day,
Yeah.
I can add.
And also, I wanna say, you know, if we have some people that have similar genres to mine in this group, when I'm doing book signings, I would love to invite you guys to come and do book signings with me. Bring your books, let's do them. I've been approached by several places to do books, book signings, and, I wanna kinda, so here's the thing, it's like I'm trying to get these other books out, but yet I also have to promote, right? And you can literally, promoting could be a full-time job. Promoting your books could literally be a full-time job. So you have to kind of balance what's gonna work. So if we have like other authors, we can tag team each other, bring other readers in, it helps cut down how much time you have to promote, in my opinion.
So we're gonna wrap up this section. Any other questions?
I have a comment. I've been to a number of these sessions over the years. Most of us have. You have provided an invaluable service like no other speaker.
That's very kind. Very kind. Wow. Thank you.
And you'll be here available after the break for further questions and people buying your books and getting information. Wonderful, thank you. You're an
Thank
absolutely
you.
fabulous speaker and valuable. Some people, I think we've all benefited from what you've taught us today. Really, really appreciate it.
That's nice.
And your posse.
Yeah.
So June has an announcement and I have an announcement. Then we'll have the break and signing / networking.